Right, so welcome gentlemen. So this is a question from a reader, and it's about looking at women in a sexual way, or leering at them. I talk about this in The Secret Society, about leering at women and leaving them under no illusions that you're interested in them in a sexual way. So this is the question. So Steve, you talk about leering at women shamelessly. This was a big edge for me, due to a fear of being perceived as creepy. I know I'm not alone there. After practicing it on the street for several weeks, which feels great by the way, I have noticed that the reactions I get seem to have a lot to do with my state at the time. There are days when I get clear IOIs back, and there are days when it seems literally all the women go into self-protection, fear or avoidance mode. Can you clarify at all about what kind of mindset is required to force IOIs in this way without falling into a trap of being creepy? Any major gotchas or pitfalls and how this could be done very wrong? So when he's talking about forcing IOIs, looking at women, leering at them, forcing IOIs is what that means, okay? It means looking at a woman in a particular way to uncover whether she has any initial interest in you based on, you know, how you look, how you're moving and your general vibe, okay? So that's what forcing an IOI is. So the first thing I'd say about this question in particular is if you're worried about appearing creepy, then I would describe that as stifling behavior. It's or a stifling mindset. It's a mindset that is going to inhibit the way that you act and the way that you're portraying yourself, okay? So when you're trying to come from this position of being stifled or inhibited, any kind of actions that you take are going to come from that position. So if you're trying to force an IOI from a woman, you're trying to get a response to her, and you're trying to come across as being cocky when you're feeling stifled, or appear sexually to her, or basically say to her, look at you, I'm interested in you, in a very confident way. If you're feeling stifled when you do that, it's going to come across wrong, okay? It's going to come across inauthentic, some sort of weird little grimace, rather than a confident little wink or something like that. It'll be like instead of like a little confident wink or a little point at her and acknowledge her, it'll be some sort of weird like grimace like this. It would come across wrong and inauthentic because you're feeling stifled when you do it, okay? So you're acting out. So I think things like forcing an IOI, getting a reaction from a woman needs to come from a place of cockiness. In my case, I you know, I'm quite a cocky person with women, cocky bloke with women. Cockiness, confidence, and indifference to the outcome, and certainly not a position of self-consciousness, okay, which is kind of what this guy is describing. Creepy, by implication, is feeling self-conscious, okay? So think of it that way. So your state, if you're feeling stifled and you're worried about coming across creepy, then you're naturally going to inhibit yourself and force an IOI in a way that was not intended to happen, and pull a face that you're probably not intending to pull, okay? So think about things like this. So depending on how your face and body naturally hangs, you might unconsciously look aggressive or even like a pervert when you're, you know, doing these IOIs to her, okay? So the first thing I would say is if you're getting some reactions which are sometimes negative, try and knock that off the list, okay? You know, do you have like a habitual facial expression, as funny as this sounds, that looks intimidating, creepy or weird or whatever? You know, ask your friends about this, right? Now, you can't really take photos of it, because if you take photos, you're going to naturally pull like a pose, or in that moment become self-conscious, and your face will hang in a way that it wouldn't normally do. So ask your friends about it, you know, like when you're out and stuff, say to them, look, you know, do I ever like pull a face where I look a bit rapey or something like that? You know, I don't know, something like that, okay? Ask your friends for their opinion, okay? Now, but really I think this question boils down to mindset, okay? So I kind of alluded to it in the first part of the answer, but I think it boils down to mindset. It's how you perceive yourself, how you perceive the world, what you think you're entitled to do with women, whether you walk through the world with confidence and you're cocky with women when you see them, even if you're dressed like shit, you know, and you're feeling, you know, a bit shitty. What's your default position? If you see a girl you like, do you have enough default confidence, even if you're, you know, not dressed your best, to give her a little wink or something like that, something very cocky, you know? So these are my pointers about mindset, okay? So you need to build this sense of entitlement with women. So entitlement, as in you feel you deserve the woman, but also a deep and abiding respect and love for them, okay? So that you can empathise with their position. So when I say respect and love for them, I mean that you can empathise with their position, you can appreciate that they have difficulties too. It's not all a walk in the park for girls, you know. Now the opposite of that deep and abiding love and respect for women, which I talk about all the time, it's all over my blog, it runs throughout my products, everything I do and say, is misogyny or dislike of women, or dislike the perceived power that you think they have over you, okay? Now, if you have lingering issues like this, then I think you need to start to address it. That's why I say inner game is so important, okay? Because it will naturally subcommunicate out of you. It will come out of you unconsciously. You won't even know that you're doing it. But when you're forcing an IOI, if at the back of the mind there's even a little microsecond of like, bitch, or, you know, she didn't give me an IOI, I'm feeling pissed off now, and then like, the next girl you sort of grimace at, or, you know, like fucking angry about, that's going to show, right? And for girls, that's just really off-putting, you know? Because we're stronger than them, and it's unpleasant for them to be around guys that resent them as a kind of species, you know? So you need to get to work on that. If there's any lingering inner game issues, I guess you could say, that's something you need to get to work on. And it will manifest itself in better forcing of IOIs, okay? Trust me on this. So that's the kind of thing you need to be thinking about, okay? So this is how I think about, these are signposts for how I think about women and my inner game, if you like. So over the years, I've built this abiding love and respect for women generally. Now, if you read a lot of stuff on the manosphere, I'm not going to name particular blogs, you'd be forgiven for thinking that women are poisonous and cruel and malevolent creatures, and they're ready to drop you at the drop of a hat when the next best dude comes along, okay? You know, aka hypergamy. Personally, I don't believe that, and I never have. I think a lot of guys in the manosphere are or have streaks or large swathes of misogyny. I don't think they're particularly good with women, a lot of them, and I think they write from that position, okay? They haven't yet overcome that. If they do get women, they don't really believe it. They don't come from a position of core abundance and love and respect for women, okay? So be aware that when you're reading that kind of stuff, in my view, if you take it to heart too much, it's poisonous. I would suggest that you know, maybe try and shut yourself off from that kind of influence and read my stuff more, you know. So if you want to eradicate these inner game issues that I'm talking about, start to think about that kind of thing, start to look at what you're reading, you know, on a daily basis, how much you're taking it to heart, that kind of thing. Don't surround yourself with that kind of poisonous well of negativity, if you like. Now, having said all of that, I'm not saying it's like a Disney movie. I'm not saying women are beautiful all the time and that they're perfect creatures. I mean, some women are cunts, okay? People generally can be shitty, okay? To be honest, I don't have a lot of respect for the human race. I think, you know, we're kind of like locusts. We're capable of great things, but generally people kind of aren't worth a lot. A lot of people are just lazy and stupid. They're not worth a lot, okay? But they're capable of great things, okay? So I've had to train myself over the years to see the best in people, okay? Now, specifically with women, I know that they can be cunts, but I think even if that's the case, okay, accepting that that's the case, you're still better off to come from a position of love, okay, even accepting that that's the case, because you never ever win is if you resent women on any level, okay? They won't let you stick your dick in them if they sense that from you, okay? So it's best to almost blind yourself to this and to come from that position of love and respect, because it's just more effective. It's a more effective way of picking them up as well, okay? So start to get to work on these inner game issues. It will help you subcommunicate the right qualities and help you force IOIs in a more natural way, so that your default position, default level of confidence, your fear and worry about coming across as creepy will dissipate, and then you'll be more natural in the way that you're doing it, okay? Point one. The second thing about loving and respecting women is just look at them, you know? How can you not love that? How can you not love the way that they're shaped in their ass and that kind of stuff, you know? Don't look at them and think of them as expect morality from them in the same way that you would from a man, because they see the world through a different lens, okay? There's like a million things I could say about that. I mean, I go into all this in Primal Seduction and The Secret Society. I can't go into it as much detail here, but you need to be thinking along those lines and not thinking of women as being defective men and looking for the same qualities from women that you do from men, okay? Right, second point, or the third point. I think guys who are learning this stuff, pick up stuff, so they might not have worked through their inner game issues and they might harbour some resentment at a woman's power over them, okay? So they might look at girls and think things like, I want her, but I can't have her. Why do women go out with these pricks that I see them hanging around with? They're the dweeby little guys. Why are they with him? Or why are they with that fucking scrotty-looking guy over there? Or what's he got that I don't have? This resentment. And they might think to themselves, I'm better than these guys. Why not me? So when you hear me talking about this love and respect and you read it, you might have glimpses of it. But then you can easily flip back over into this kind of hatred, or not hatred, but disrespect and misogyny towards women, okay? And potentially that might be happening for you as well. So you don't want to come across as creepy, but there might be times when, you get a bit wound up, or potentially, and that subcommunicates in your facial expressions. So when you try and force an IOI in an inauthentic way, it comes across very badly, okay? That might be a cause of it as well. Again, what you need to do about that is work on your inner game issues, surround yourself with positive influences, and actually build this strong identity and deep love and respect for women that I talk about. And again, I go through that, how to do that, and the way in which you can build this mindset in Primal Seduction. As well as these differences in the way that you force IOIs, if you're flipping between these two states where you have these glimpses of love and respect, but these other times where you kind of hate women and you have these flashes of resentment, I think it contributes to a more volatile state generally, okay? So that might be what you're describing when you say you're in a different state, and your state generally is more volatile, okay? Things like the way that you perceive the inner game will fuck around with your state, okay? If you don't see it in a positive light and you're not coming from an empowered perspective, that can drag you down all the time, okay? I remember when I used to suffer from depression many, many years ago, and I had to really discipline myself to work through it and to see the world, literally see the world through a different prism and in a different light. And I describe that journey in Primal Seduction, so you need to go through that journey yourself, and there aren't any shortcuts to it. You need to have epiphanies, go through the journey, and emerge a different person on the other side, okay? So, having said all of that stuff, I would say that state is naturally volatile, okay? And I've written about this at length on my blog, in Primal Seduction, and even more length. But I think it basically boils down to three things, okay? You have to take action to fix your base state. This is things like fixing the base state is the stuff that's in the background, okay? Your life situation, if you like. So, take action to fix your life situation. Where are you living? Are you living in an area where there are lots of nice women around, or is it restricted, okay? I mean, there are like 3 women in the town, and you fuck one of them, right? That's not good. You need to be like in a bigger city, potentially, something like that. Is your job fucking with you, Is it detracting from your base state? Do you have a circle of friends, real friends, not like acquaintances, but real friends that actually care about you? Are you taking action to build your self-esteem? Are you doing things that you're good at? Are you developing new skills? That kind of thing. This all builds self-esteem. Do you feel secure and content in your life? Financially, that has an impact on your base state. Unfortunately, to get really good at this stuff and to be consistent with it, you need to just have everything working for you, okay? So these are the kind of things that you need to be working on in the background. You can deal with your real-time state, so the base state we just talked about, and then you can deal with your real-time state by learning not to be overly reactive to girls. So when you ask the question, I'm worried about appearing creepy, essentially what you're doing is reacting to an imaginary girl before you even open your mouth, okay? You need to come from a position of security and almost thinking in a non-arrogant, non-misogynistic way, whatever I do is going to be okay because it's calibrated and I'm confident in it, and I come from this position of love and respect for women, okay? So you need to not be overly reactive to girls in their reactions to you, okay? So let's say you give her, force out an IOI, and it didn't go down well, you know, you need to almost shrug your shoulders and say, well, that didn't go down too fucking well, did it? But laugh about it, you know, and not let that affect you, because there will be times during a pickup where she's going to throw you a curveball, right? Now, they call it shit test, but it's not always a shit test, you know, they just throw you curveballs. That's just the nature of women. And you know, you can't let it rock you on your heels and be all fucking blown about by it and that kind of thing. So these are things that you need to work on to fix your real-time state, is to not be overly reactive to girls and their reactions to you. Let's say you force an IOI and she gives you like that kind of look. Your natural response should be to fucking give her another IOI, okay, and try and force it out again and say, come on, give me something, you know, just have a joke with it, you know, rather than being all upset and like cowering in a corner from her, you know, and then thinking, do I come across as creepy? So you build this ability to become non-reactive to girls, if you like, or not be blown about by their reactions to you, by becoming internally referenced, grounded, building a strong identity, getting more experience with girls generally, etc., 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 and just growing up and getting older. But I go through all of these inner game changes in primal seduction. Like I say, I mean, it's a big area. I mean, I think there's 90,000 words in primal seduction where I talk about this journey. So it's not really something that I can just reel off on a YouTube video. But those are the things that you need to be thinking about, okay? So all of those things combined might explain these reactions, these difference in reactions when you're forcing IOIs, okay? So you asked quite a simple question, but you'll notice that the answer is actually a lot more complex than that, right? Because a human being is a complex series of moving parts. It's not just like one little part here is compartmentalized from everything else. You know, it's all driven by the brain. So, and I believe a lot of the actions that you take and a lot of the things that you do with girls, the position that you're coming from, all stems from your inner game. That's why I keep talking about it. It's so important, okay? 70% of it is in inner game. So that's why I talk about it a lot when I'm doing these little videos. Now, having said all of that, I suspect that when you are talking about the situation that's occurred to you, I suspect you're probably basing it on a small sample size, okay? So I developed this thing about IOIs. I started to do this stuff when I was about 15, and I'm now 39, so I've been doing it 24 years. So my sample size is in the tens of thousands. I suspect yours is not as large, okay? So you're basing it on a small sample size. So small sample size, results can be skewed by, you know, 5 or 6 people, right? Bear that in mind as well. Also bear in mind, some girls just aren't going to go for you, okay? No matter what your default face position is, you can face pull and do different positions, but she just doesn't like the look of your fucking mug, basically, okay? It happens, okay? This pickup's not a panacea. That might be happening as well. She's just not interested in you no matter what you do, okay? Just accept that. But over time, when you do this more and more, you'll start to develop a sixth sense for IOIs, okay? It takes time and practice, but you'll be able to spot them on autopilot, even the really, really subtle ones. Not only that, when they are really subtle, you'll be able to say with confidence, right, that girl wants to fuck, I know that, because she's giving me this small subtle IOI, right? Other people would say, no, she's just looking at you, but trust me, it doesn't mean that. It means a lot more than that. And you'll also build a sixth sense for knowing which girls will be more receptive to you, okay? So it makes you more efficient. You can approach girls knowing pretty well what's going to happen. You know that it's going to be receptive to your approach, okay? So this is the awareness element that I talk about in The Secret Society, which you've watched. But for the people that haven't watched, I talk a lot about awareness, okay? So this is kind of what I'm alluding to here. So it sounds to me, just for you personally, like you're on the way, but you're still developing and fine-tuning your awareness. When you do get it, you'll find loads of benefits to your game generally, as you'll start to be able to read where she is at emotionally, okay? This small thing, this spotting IOIs, is a portal into awareness, and it will lead you to be able to do things like you can sense where she's at emotionally in the pickup, okay? When you're talking to her. So you'll know when to push, when to pull back a little bit, when to literally lean back and when to lean forward and when to touch her on the arm, all that kind of stuff. You can do that on autopilot. And you'll develop this ability to know what to do next without thinking about it. So that's quite a lengthy answer. I hope it's not too rambling. You can see that there's a lot to it. If you want to know more, it is in the Secret Society. I break it all down in great detail. There's literally an hour on IOIs. I think you can see from this video now that there is a lot to it, and not just the technique itself, but what it actually means and what it leads to in your pickup ability. It leads you to become natural, if you like. So I hope this helps. There's some things you can work on there, but take some heart, because it sounds like you're getting there, you know? Thank you.